This episode of the Cherished Lounge is brought to you by Cherished LA. Cherished LA is a survivor-led nonprofit dedicated to empowering survivors of human trafficking and exploitation, while also equipping communities through education, advocacy, and hope. Through trauma-informed care, we're helping individuals discover healing, purpose, and a future filled with possibility. To learn more about our mission or get involved or support the work, visit cherishedla.org. That's www.cherishedla.org. Because every life has value and every story deserves hope. The conversations we have here on the Cherished Lounge are deeply personal to me because I don't come to them only as a host. I come to them as someone who has lived a story of my own. I share that story in my book, Exposed, Surviving the Commercial Sex Industry. Exposed is my own story of exploitation, survival, and the long journey of healing that followed. Each chapter includes reflection questions, making it something you can read on your own or walk through with a group. Exposed is a story not only about what happened to me, but about healing, identity, and finding your way back to yourself. Exposed, Surviving the Commercial Sex Industry is available in print or audiobook through Amazon or wherever you get your books. My guest today is Bronwen Healy. She is a survivor, an overcomer, a leader. She is the founder of Hope Foundation and the Lovewell Project. She's also the founder of There is Hope Australia Counseling. She's a mom. She's amazing. She's a life delighter, and she is my friend. Let's welcome Bronwen to the show. So today we're with my dearest friend, Bronwen Healy. And I just want to read this quote that Bronwen gave to me on a little piece of paper one time. And it says, "Many people will walk in and out of your life, but only true friends will leave footprints in your heart." And that is a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. And that is the truth of what Bronwen Healy has done in my heart and in my life. And I'm so excited that she's on with us today and that we're getting to have a conversation. So Bronwen and I lead support groups together for survivors of human trafficking. Bronwen is a licensed therapist, a survivor, founder. I've said all this in the intro, but just so excited for you all to hear Bronwen's journey. And so, Bronwen, I'm so excited you're here. Thanks for being here today.
It's so mutual. You've left footprints on my heart and my story too, and the best kind of footprints. Yeah, kind and gentle footprints. But it's an honor to be here. I'm so glad I get to do this with you. And we invite other people into our conversations, which are such a gift to me. And so I hope it's a gift to them too.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Well, one of the things that for those listening, Bronwen and I, like I said, we do support groups together. And that has been so much fun because we have had the privilege of being able to work on curriculum together. And Bronwen is an author in her own right. She's written. And Bronwen, you're writing now, aren't you?
I am writing now. I am. And I'm very excited about it. Actually, I'm going to do that after this. So, yeah.
So exciting. Tell us about what you're writing. Tell us about what is going on in your heart, what you have written, and where you're going now with it.
At the moment, I'm actually rewriting. I'm revising and rewriting a book that I first launched in 2010. And back then it was called I Have Issues, Don't You? Which is still true. But when I started the rewrite, and it's been quite a process and a journey to get to this point to actually be writing, I sat with it and I read through it and I was like, this is great. And how did I think in 2010 people who didn't quite embrace vulnerability and authenticity the way they do now, how did I expect people to pick up a book called I Have Issues, Don't You? And when I started reading it, I was like, I need this now. I need this
Wow.
now. Yeah. And also the journey of the last 16 years has been nothing short of wild, wonderful, phenomenal, um, and brutal.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to just reprint it with the kind of reflection questions at the end or a suggestion of a song for them to find. I really wanted to go to the depths. And so I'm sitting with it and I'm sitting with it. And then I'm writing and then I'm reading and then I'm reading out loud to imagine what it will sound like audio. And then I'm writing the questions and then I'm actually doing the process as I go. So it does have a new title now, which I think reflects who I am now. And the other part is still true. I still have issues and I forever will be on this healing my way to wholeness journey. But the new title is actually Get Your Hopes Up.
I love it.
Yeah. You haven't
I
even
love
heard
that.
that. Now you know.
Yes, that is
I know.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
perfect.
all of the chapters are like, give up, get up, speak up, dress up, rise up. Like they all already had that 16 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. And so
That's amazing how that works.
as I'm reading through, and historically for me, I usually get the name of a thing first.
Yeah.
So this has been the flip way round. And I'm like, okay, all right, okay, okay. So
Well, that
the
makes
whole
sense.
time I'm writing, I'm like, what's it called? What's it called? What's it called? And I've landed recently on that title and I'm really excited. Yeah.
I'm so excited. I
Yeah.
can't wait. I know.
Yeah.
And just working with you, I've seen, just the stuff that comes out organically. Like when we're just in the moment and having these conversations, um, we've seen women transform over time with doing deep work with them. And that
Oh,
comes from where your heart is at and how you show up and just allowing whatever you're going through and in the moment, how you're learning and you're being taught yourself
oh,
through trials and tribulations and all of that, that you are so vulnerable to bring that to
oh,
whoever you're working with. And I'm sure your clients listening would be shaking their heads at the same time. Like, I'm sure that you show up for them the same way,
oh,
but because I've had that experience with you, that's how I've experienced you. It's been wonderful.
oh.
So I'm
Thank you.
super excited for your book.
I know. I know. Thank you. That's beautiful. I think too, like I've been on this healing journey for the last 27 years. I'm 51 now. And I think about the journey and I think I know for a fact that where there's a heartbeat, there's hope. So if I can help other people get their hopes up and give permission, we talk all the time in group about giving permission. It's like that people don't need permission from me. They need permission from themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Yeah.
if I can help facilitate that somehow, yeah. And the journey that you and I have shared in these co-leading support groups together has given a different courage and confidence, I think, in this writing season. It's like, oh, it's just, yeah, as you say, it's just there.
Yeah.
Like it's a deep well, but it's on the surface. And it's just, yeah, it's not just something that I do, it's a part of who I am. So, yeah.
And giving yourself permission as you have been rewrite, even to rename it and to pull it
I
back out
know.
and even rewrite it. Like,
I
that's a
know.
huge one.
I know. I know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, for listeners who don't know your story,
Hmm.
and for those who only know parts of it, let's back up a little bit and tell us the story of Bronwen, and how you got to this place today.
Hmm. It's such a big question. Like I'm kind of like I feel like I think the way that we've talked about it before. I feel like a middle-aged teenager, to be honest. Like I have this sweet delight and joy about life. But I've had enough lifetimes. Like maybe I'm a cat. I don't know, but I've had enough lifetimes to be also like 150 years old. Um, and I think that ever evolving, that healing my way to wholeness. And, like I was raised a good kid, parents who loved me the best way they knew how, you know, tried marijuana at the age of 16 and then got on to all of the other drugs very quickly. Ended up on heroin between ages 18 and 24. Went to rehab at 24, which you heard me say 27 years ago. I made this radical choice. Like I didn't realize at the time. Like I can look now and be like, I didn't know back then it was literally a life or death choice. But I had been in crime and the sex industry and, lived on the dark side of the world, never flourished, never bloomed, like it was survival mode,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so to make this choice when I was 24 years old to go to rehab and begin a life transforming journey, then for me, it was I became a Christian and, it was kind of like I got forgiveness for my past, which, I was like, I really needed that. And I got forgiveness for my past, a brand new life today. And again, in the 27 years since becoming a believer for me, I've had a few of those, a brand new life again.
Yeah.
Begin again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hope for my future. And it was like this, I didn't just get hope for my future. I got hope for all of the futures of the paths of whoever I was ever going to cross. That includes you.
Yes.
That includes whoever's listening. That, as you know, you've been on a travel adventure across the country with me. That includes the person sitting next to me on the plane. That includes, the air hostess. Like that is, I see you. And it matters that I see you because it mattered that I was seen.
Mm-hmm.
And you matter. Like, what's your story? Why are you on the plane today?
And that is so who you are. She does not. She does not hold back. And it's like if someone has a moment in your sphere, they are going to get to hear and know who Bronwen is. And it's really beautiful. And I've watched it so many times. We were on a plane together and the, this big guy is sitting next to Bronwen's in the middle. I'm by the window and this big guy's on the aisle. And before the flight was over, we had exchanged phone numbers. We know each other. Like
I got almond pretzels given to me by his
they gave you
staff team in
snacks.
front of me. Yeah, they gave me snacks. Yeah, and he knew our story.
Yeah,
and we knew his story.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And I don't do that when I'm by myself. I am like, just don't talk to me, please.
Yeah.
But there's something about being with you that is the invitation to, be friendly to humans. And I love that because I live in LA and people are very about, doing their thing, about whatever they're doing. And it's definitely not, I'm from the South. It's not like that at all, where everyone is hello and hi, how are you, But Bronwen came to visit and was great to be reminded, like, take a minute and say hello to people, slow down. And we forget that. So I love that about you. And yes, it's a beautiful gift that you offer to people when you are in a room of strangers. There's not going to be a stranger at the end for you. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's not, I don't flick you again, you were with me for a week. We had full immersion. It's not a flick the switch like, oh, I need to be on.
No.
It's like if I have overflow and I also know how to like get away and be quiet and be still and replenish so that I have overflow. If I have overflow, and I also acknowledge boundaries really clearly with myself.
Yeah.
Like what's the next kind of gentle thing I can do for myself?
Oh, for sure. I love that.
And the best way that I can be kind and gentle with humanity is if I'm kind and gentle with me. And so it really starts there.
It's
and
like
so
a
I'm
dance.
big on, yeah.
Watching you is like a dance. Yeah. You definitely move in and out of it's like a rhythm, and it's like it's not just all over the place. It's definitely, but it's something that when you aren't used to that, it's a jerk, like it's a kind of I don't want to say jerk, but it's like a reminder, like you jerk out of your selfishness, your selfness of
Mm,
thinking about whatever's going on and go, oh my gosh, what's the harm in stopping and being
mm,
kind and listening to somebody else's story? Like we forget that's so important to do. And I love
mm,
that. That is something you have definitely brought back to my memory and back to who I truly am and haven't
mm,
been for a long time. That just been, like I said, living in LA, there's a hustle, there's a rhythm that's going on all the time. And being with
mm,
you that's one of the gifts that you have given me permission to explore. What
mm,
does it look like not to hustle all the time? What does it look like to slow down and be a part of the rhythm of everyone else around you, And I love that about you,
mm,
Bronwyn.
mm. Mm. It's mutual, Even when you sent the questions, I'm like, I'm happy to go with the unforced rhythms of grace and follow your lead, and we'll go where we go, and we'll hold on to the other questions for another time, maybe,
Yeah.
like I'll be back as often as you'll have me. But
Yes.
it's those things where it's like, again, I'm 51. There's been a lot of evolve. And again, now I'm in my second blooming, but it's like, it's begin again. And that permission to not allow pain or betrayal or divorce or whatever the big ticket items on the timeline are to
Yeah.
stop me from being me. Like, who am I truly? Who is the true, authentic, vulnerable, you know, squirrel, busy brain, beautifully busy brain, seer of people, who am I? Who am I truly? And I find that the more that I connect to that and the more I live in that, the more that becomes what's going on around me. We've got the mutual friend, Dr. Dan Allender. And when I first met him 20 years ago, he spoke at a conference about being a life delighter. It's like, a what? Like, do you know my story? Do you know all the reasons that I have to not do that?
Mhm.
But I tell you what, there's not been many days since then, even on the bathroom floor, crying my eyes out in the midst of darkness and depression and sadness and grief and loss,
Mhm.
that I haven't made a choice to have eyes of wonder, you know?
That's it.
Yeah.
The choice. That's
Yeah.
the
It's a choice.
reminder to you have a choice.
Mm.
And right, because these things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's something that you always talk about. It's not happening to me, but the things that are happening are teaching me. And then what are they
Mm.
asking of me to
Mm.
how to respond and that's a different way of looking at that.
Mm. Yeah, life isn't happening to me, it's happening for me.
Yeah.
Like, what is in this for me? Like, how can I learn? How can I grow? How can I flourish? Where is the bloom in here? And if there's old mindsets and crap in the garden of my heart that are stealing the nutrients from the soil, then I want to sit with them too, but not let
Mhm.
them stay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so from your story, we're talking about you were addicted to heroin, you ended up in rehab, and
Mm,
then um you got out. And what was the timeline between you getting out and then you started an organization? So how did that
mm.
transition happen?
I went to rehab in 99. I had my first baby in 2001. I got married in 2001, had a baby in 2001, and 2002, someone came to my door after church one day and said, God told me to give you this old computer for you to write your book. And I was like, okay, I'm not writing a book. And they were like, you have a story in you. And I was like, okay, so does everybody. And when my first baby, who's nearly 25, was 6 months old, I plugged in this old computer and started to write. And that became my first book, which I didn't realize was a book. I thought it was my story. 200 something pages later, someone else said, God told me to edit your book. I'm like, I don't have a book. And they were like, aren't you writing your story? I'm like, oh, yeah, it's just a story. Like, it's my story. That book became, its title is Trophy of Grace. It's had 5 print runs in Australia, 2 in America. And it really, for me, people were like, if you write, can you speak? It opened doorways and pathways for me to be able to tell this story from a place of, I once was lost and now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. And I really believe that there's a difference between someone being clean off drugs and being free. And so I wanted to tell that story. So yeah, that's actually going to get a re-release as well, because
That's
it's got a
great.
new afterword. And every time I think about it, I'm like, that book came out in 2004, you know? So I had the first baby, wrote a book, had another baby, released the book, had another baby, and started the organization. And that started because I just had on my heart to host a Valentine's Day outreach for the women that I used to be. So we made up little business card invitations and went to, shelters and needle exchanges, and the drug addiction doctor that helped me and handed out these invitations to women. And at the first one in 2005, we had like 80 women come.
Wow.
And I shared some story, and we gave out hugs and food and chocolates and flowers. And these women were seen and told and shown that they were loved and valued and created with a purpose. And then they filled in feedback forms, and it was all very positive, except what's next? Like, where do I go from here? And it was like, I don't know, somewhere.
Right.
We'd made a list of the pre-existing amazing, beautiful Salvation Army, and the lunch you can have, and the shelter you can go to, and here's some clothes, but it was like there was nothing specifically beautifully niche for the women wanting life change from addictions and or the sex industry. And so I spoke to a friend who was a lawyer, and I said, I think I'm supposed to start a charity, and its name is Hope Foundation. And I'll never forget, Kate, he like laughed at me. It wasn't with me. We laughed with each other. He was laughing at me, and I was like, rude. And he said, there's no way the name Hope Foundation's not taken. And I was like, okay, well, that's what I think it's called. You heard me say, like, I used to get the names first. And he looked it up on the business ledger here in Australia, and it wasn't gone. And so I started the Hope Foundation. And over the years, we opened a drop-in space called Hope Haven, and we started a social enterprise cafe called the Love Well Project. And women were seen and known and loved and treated with dignity and honor. And if they wanted to work at the cafe, it was, they were treated with dignity and respect, and women flourished. They became women who had been a cost to society, became a value to their own lives first, and then society. But yeah, the Hope Chick community will forever be a really fond part of my story. I did that from 2005. We officially launched 2006 through until 2019. I had a car accident and was, in my translation, not treated very kindly by my own board, and I ended up resigning. It got to the place where it was after all of these years of pouring out, and I'd been through the, first divorce, and written a couple of other books, and was traveling and speaking and raising these 3 incredible young daughters, and got to the point where I was like, I need to either choose the charity or I choose me, and I didn't have the energy for both. And that was one of the hardest let goes and decisions that I've ever made in my life. Yeah.
I remember hearing about that over here because you're an OG, and I knew I had heard about Bronwen and starting an organization over there, and even your loved, valued purpose. You coined that phrase, and that has been used among many, many organizations, and now spreading. But I remember hearing of you, and then hearing that happened to you, that you had birthed this organization. And as a founder myself, I know what it's like to have a creative, that burning creativity inside of you, and you know this is what you're supposed to do. And then when you actually do it, it is like giving birth to something. You're giving birth to your creativity, to the gift that that's been downloaded to you. And so now you're making this thing come to life. And to keep it alive, it's a lot of work and raising money and, all of the things with training staff. And sometimes that can be more work than working with the actual survivors, trying to train your staff to work with this demographic and volunteers. And so there's so much that happens behind the scene. And then to hear someone who didn't do that work come in and take your baby like that. I remember I was terrified, and thought, what if this can happen to Bronwen? I'm terrified about what does this look like for organizations here, like our boards. We need to be so careful about who we are bringing on to work with us, that they actually do breathe the vision the same way and have skin in the game the same way, at least as much as possible, and to respect and honor the people who have done the work before them to bring this to fruition. And so I was livid when I heard that had happened to you. I mean, talk about, you had already suffered betrayal so much in other personal areas. And then to like, okay, well, I'm a single mom now. I've got my kids and my family, and I'm going to keep that going and do what I can with this part of my life. And I have the foundation I need to keep doing that. And holding it together like that, you have to be the one. But then for somebody to come in and take that from you, I just want to name that because it really infuriated me when I heard about that. And I know a lot of other organizations may not know the full story, but I was just devastated for you, Bronwen. You had worked so hard, and I didn't know you at the time, but I knew of you, and I knew of your organization, and it was like a light on a hill. Like, this is the way to do this work. And so, but I think, we can look at it now and go, there's the ashes, or you're not in the ashes. The beauty is being risen out of them. You have more to do, but wait, there's more. That's what you always tell me.
You hear me say that.
And you're living it. It's like that, and I love that about you. That did not stop you. That did not stop you, but it did make you pause. What was that desert like in that moment for you?
Yeah, it definitely took me out. It was a side swipe. And from within. And I think for that, the amount of organizations in the last 7 years that I've just been, it is really important who you have on your board. And it's really important to, the way that I explain it, like, do a fruit inspection. Someone can show and present and look really great on paper and feel really good, especially when you're walking through a second divorce to a Christian radio announcer who you didn't realize was going to, again, betray you from within, and not fully see you or embrace your delight. And so when you're at the lowest in a personal space and yet doing this public work, while navigating the broken hearts of my 3 daughters who had also been vowed to be loved and embraced and were not, the terrifying impact of that on our hearts. And it was really public. So people were watching because, it was kind of like, wait, what? Bronwen made a wrong choice with this man, and now look at the impact and what's going to happen to the charity. And the cafe was flourishing. And it was big, it's literally a cafe on a hill on top of a mountain overlooking the city, and I think in the midst of that, this someone coming alongside and offering help and support and from within, and, we're moving house because we need to get out of the house we're in, and, what's everyone's favorite color towels, and here's a $500 grocery voucher, and, what else can I do to help? I really need a new member on the board. So my biggest encouragement to people is do a fruit inspection, and fruit inspections take time. And, you know, you hear me say again, like God weaves stories. He doesn't staple. He's never in a hurry. Don't rush anything. You know, he's a weaver. um, and he's a master at it. For me, in that season of tears and sadness and brokenheartedness again, it felt like a sideswipe. It felt like so sad, so depressing, so lonely. People didn't know what to do. You know, you've gone from running the galas and being at the galas and all of the things, being on all of the things and being invited to all of the things, to laying on your couch feeling sad and sorry for yourself. And nobody came. People didn't know what to do. It's not like I was posting on Facebook every day like, I'm lonely, bring me food, feed my children, you know? And that was end of 2019, and then COVID hit and the whole world shut down and the whole world joined me in the wilderness. You know, for me, the journey over the last 7 years, and one of my other books that will come, is Finding Wonder in the Wilderness. And for me, even when I say the title, it's like the lessons that I learned the hardest way possible. If there's a way that I can sow those into other people's lives and invest that into somebody else's story, not to save them from their own. I'm actually a encourager of people going on their own journeys. But if there's ways that I can bring glimmers of hope and delight to that wilderness journey, then I will, because the coming back out of it, you know, when people are like, oh, you're speaking again, oh, you're writing, oh, can you do my podcast? I'm like, I maybe, you know, it's been really beautiful to be tucked away, and to discover this really, really deep well in me and in my relationship with God, and to choose intentional friendships and really invest in them and be invested in by those. So my circle got really small. I could do a pen point on my hand and show you how small it got. But the who I am and who I'm becoming and the unbecoming and the letting go and the leaning in and the surrendering, and you know, it's kind of like a mosaic, but only the pieces that I need for the next season are being put back together. You know, I had conversations in the ruins with the Lord. I still do. But that really, you know, one of our seasons has been broken into beautiful. You know, I want to live a life that's like, I just want what he wants, and I want my yeses to be intentional and full of delight. And mutual, you know, I'm like, you hear me say, when it's holy, it's mutual, you know? Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but.
Yeah, no, I witnessed you going through that. Well, you know, coming out of it actually, and just, with such grace and humility, and, just really the lessons, like I can see them, that you're holding them with like treasures. That you have gotten through this season. And you are offering that as an offering to me, even as I go through my season, you know, of separation and walking through some hard times of that. And you've, you know, someone who's been through it and been able to help me see things in a clearer way, and to just keep my eyes on, you know, the promises and that what is coming, and not to spiral out, and not to try to take control and run and do things all on my own. Like that's such a, you know, when you have somebody kind of standing on the side going, okay, wait, hold on, you don't have to do that. And then it's like, oh, okay, right. I don't have to do that. And it's like an anchor to have someone saying that to you, so that you don't just, you know, how we can take charge of things we feel like we need to make it work a certain way, and then we just end up making it worse. So learning how to pause, you know, we talk about that in our group a lot.
We sure do. The power of the pause.
Yeah.
And I think too, that reminder, you know, now is not forever. And again, like when I'm like, I've been clean off heroin for 27 years. You know, I remember when it was 27 hours, days, weeks, months, years, you know, and to have now come through 2 divorces in my young lifetime and still have like this heart full of hope. And still, I've rekindled and remembered I'm a romantic at heart. Like, yes, I see the world through rose-colored glasses. I just next time need to make sure those red flags aren't disguised as white flags of surrender with those rose-colored glasses. But I
Mhm.
think that reminder
That's good.
to champion and to stand alongside and be like, now is not forever. And my life is living proof. My life is living proof. I'm tangible redemption, again and again and again and again, that now is not forever, no matter where you find yourself on the journey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really important to remember that. And now a word from our sponsors. This episode of the Cherished Lounge is proudly sponsored by Damaris Hope. Damaris Hope is a nonprofit serving women working in the commercial sex industry and survivors of human trafficking and exploitation throughout greater Atlanta area. Their mission is simple but powerful: to meet women where they are with compassion, practical support, and hope, walking alongside them without judgment as they pursue healing and a new future. To learn more about their work or find ways to get involved, visit damarishope.org. That's DAMARISHOPE.org. Our thanks to Damaris Hope for supporting survivor voices and helping make these conversations possible. And now back to the show.
Mhm.
So what does healing look like now compared to 10 years ago?
I think someone actually asked me this the other day, a similar-ishly worded question. And I said, I think I care less, not in a bad way, just in this is me. This is who I am. I'm not going to let the narrative of other people or their translation of me stop me from being my full self. And I think that the older that I've gotten, and again, I was excited about turning 50 in 2025. I was excited about that for like 2 or 3 years. You knew,
Yeah.
for years,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm about to turn 50. I'm entering my second blooming. Like, I was weeding the garden of my heart to enter that second blooming with as much delight and whimsy and wonder as humanly possible. And I'm, just making a choice to not let other people's translations of me shrink me back. And I could like learning how to feel it, like learning the discernment of, ooh, I don't like that. I don't like the way that makes me feel. Or I don't like their vibe. Like, and again, you've seen me. I can be kind and friendly to all people. They're not all going to be my friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And befriending myself, again, that, what's the next kind and gentle thing I can do for myself? The power of the pause. Like, am I reacting or responding? Is this bringing life or strife? Again, having an outline of what my day might look like. I knew I needed to be online for this. So be ready, wash your hair, have enough space on your laptop, be ready and be prepared. But I don't know what's coming next,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And I think that going with the flow and caring less in a really healthy and holy way has helped me care more
Yeah.
for myself and then others. Yeah.
I've seen you do that with kind of thinking, like, as we talk to the women sometimes about boundaries,
Mm,
and you talk about, this is not against you, but this is for me.
mm-hmm,
Um, and so I think that comes from healing, that comes from wisdom, that comes from
mm,
going through a lot of things and learning how to slow down and pause. I think that boundary comes from
mm,
some of that. So I've seen you do
mm,
that. Talk about that to somebody, because I had a conversation with somebody this week that really would love to hear more about this. Like,
mm,
it's not against you, it's for
mm.
me. Like, what does that boundary look like for you?
I think people get so scared to set boundaries, or it feels like it's in concrete, or it's not. It's like it's a gate in a fence, and you get to choose. And when I say about boundaries, like, this is not against you, this is for me, and it doesn't mean I care about you any less, but I also care for me. And it was that, like, but I also care for me. I don't care about you less. I'll be honest, sometimes in brackets it feels like maybe I do a little bit. All right, it's kind of like, actually, in order to care well for me, I feel like I need to. But making a choice to acknowledge that and honor that, and I'm not actually caring for them less, but I'm also learning how to care for me. And I'm
Yeah.
caring for me in a way that little Bronwen needed, teenage Bronwen needed, 24-year-old, 21-year-old Bronwen standing on the street corner selling her body and soul to strangers for money for heroin. She needed care like that. She needed someone to care for her like that with boundaries. That wasn't, I'm not a people pleaser, or I'm not, as like, I'm the one that will ask the hard questions and, get uncomfortable for the sake of clarity. It's like, for the sake of clarity, I just have another question. Hold on.
Yes.
Let me ask that again. And again, not against the other person, not
Right.
against, but for me. And I think when even saying it now, it's like, I'm so worthy of that.
Yeah.
I'm so worthy of that care. I'm so worthy of that clarity. Everyone is. Imagine what could happen if the whole world lived in a way that was like, this is not against you, this is for me. And it doesn't mean I care about you any less, but I also care for me, And I think for me, again, the older I get, the more it's like, I want to be known for what I'm for, more than known for what I'm against.
Mhm.
I just want to
Yeah.
be kind. And I don't want to kind of like, oh, I need to conjure up my kindness. And again, I said, if I steal away and replenish, then I step into outside the door or into the world or into a dining hall or into at a dinner table. But I'm doing it from a place of, I've replenished first.
Yes.
And so this is overflow. This isn't obligation. This is overflow.
Yes.
And it may only be a dribble, and other days it's gushing out. You've seen that too,
Mhm.
but really staying connected and engaged with myself, my body, my soul, my spirit, and acknowledging that all those areas need and are worthy of nurture and nourishment and care. Yeah, obviously it's a passionate subject now that
Yes,
you've
I
asked
love
me.
it.
Yeah,
I know. I know. And
yeah.
it is the way that you are able to care for and be a light and be a sage in this movement for other
Mm,
girls coming through, because you do care for yourself and you've
mm,
learned those hard lessons, and you've learned the value of who you are, and you've given yourself permission
mm,
to look at those younger parts of you and care for you, and in
mm,
those quiet moments do that so that you can become more whole and more of who you were created and destined to be, your your value, your purpose, so
mm,
that you can go
mm,
back out and show that to others. I've witnessed that, and that is a very true
mm,
thing about who you are. That is not
mm.
blowing smoke up your skirt. That is who you are.
No, I think hearing it that way, it's like that integrated, it's like I'm fully integrated within to myself and still learning and never want to stop that. But it helps me be intentional.
Yeah.
It's like intentional with the friendships that I grow, intentional with the way I spend my time, intentional with my energy, intentional with my replenishment,
Yeah.
intentional in my pouring out. And again, that's come from the school of hard knocks. That's come
Mhm.
from the brutality of the journey that I've walked for the past 51 years,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And again, from, brutal into beautiful, from broken into beautiful, and
Yeah.
really wanting all of the parts of me. It's kind of like, um, yeah, there's nothing hidden. There's things that are private. There's a difference between things that are secret and things that are sacred. And as I do the healing work, it's like those things become sacred that are then written on a page or shared on a podcast because they're already woven into the fabric of who I am.
Mhm.
I don't need to conjure
Yes.
it up. It's just, yeah, true and truth.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that, Bronwen. And you always have the greatest little sayings that stick with you. And I'm sure you're writing those in your book so that we can
Mm-hmm.
print
Yep.
them out and hold them. And I do that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when we're doing support group. We will
Mm-hmm.
print out. Well, Bronwen and I love to use Canva in our support groups and
Mm-hmm.
create beautiful imagery for people to learn from. And it's deep. It's a deep work. And so sometimes I will screenshot those little things and print them out
Mm-hmm.
just for myself because I need to
Mm-hmm.
remember that on a daily basis. And again, one
Yeah.
of the things you have shown me is how to slow down, be more trusting. We just did one on values and how our values change in different seasons. And that was great to discover. I know you and I both have talked about how our values have changed, and not
Mm-hmm.
that values have gone away, but other values need to be strengthened in this season, and we're leaning into them differently. Um,
Mm-hmm.
as we grow.
Mm.
Um,
That valuing our values season, and again, timely for us, right? While
yeah,
we're stepping out in, letting go, leaning in, and stepping out in new ways and new dimensions and into new territory. It's
yeah,
like we're pioneer spirits, but this is the first time you've been doing this. This is
yes,
it's like, yeah, yeah. Takes courage
yes,
to
yes,
go again, to build
yeah,
again, to dream again, to, put yourself out there and yeah.
yeah. You asked me the other day about what I was doing, and you said, "But are you enjoying it?" And I was able, for the first time, to go, "Oh my gosh, I'm actually having fun
Yeah, it's
in
like,
this
But are you
season."
having fun?" And you were like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
And I was like,
yeah,
"Yes." Yeah, yeah.
and
And you're
that's so
worthy of the
good.
full feast, I remember saying when you talked about the podcast idea, I was like, the other things have been kind of preparation
Mhm.
and getting you ready, and those things don't not matter. They haven't been discounted for the sake of this. They've added value to the story. They've been foundational for this scaffolding for this new growth. And, I remember saying to you one day, it's like you're worthy of that full feast. Like take your
Mhm.
place at the table and feast it and do it. And if you want to have me on and share a conversation, let's do it. And here we are, and it's
Love it.
real, and you're doing it, you know?
And
Yeah.
that "you're worthy" part is so hard, especially as survivors, for us to
Mm,
receive that we're worthy, and something else you said, I was thinking about that too, to survivors listening, it's
mm,
we don't always, put ourselves, because we've been taught not to put ourselves first
mm,
in a healthy way.
mhm,
In a way that's kind and gentle
mm,
and that will, take care of healing those younger parts of ourselves and being, like you said,
yeah.
being with your 20-year-old self and being with
Mm,
those places that needed you so desperately at the time, and no one came for that person, came for that
mm,
girl, but now you're able to acknowledge that, and I think,
mm,
I just want survivors that are listening to hear that this has been a journey,
mm,
and and even you saying to me, "You're worthy of the whole feast," that is something I
mm,
have to pause and go, "I
mm,
hold on, that doesn't land right away,"
mhm,
and it's like, we wanna say, "No, but I've done this," or, "But I'm like this," or,
mhm,
and it's like,
mhm,
no, that's not really, um, the true narrative. It's the one that I have been sometimes feeding
mhm.
myself,
Yeah,
and it's not the truth.
yeah.
So when you have a friend who can speak that back into you and help you
Mm,
reset, you have been my
mm,
reset friend, my
mm.
reset button on,
What an honor. Yeah.
it's
I
been a
think too,
great,
Kate, as you're saying that, it's like it's countercultural to the world, right? Because the world tells you what you deserve,
yeah,
right? You deserve goodness. You deserve a house. You deserve a holiday. You deserve crap, or you deserve to be treated like that,
yeah,
you know? And so to flip that script and be like, you're worthy of it simply because you are,
who you are.
simply because you're human,
Yeah,
you know? Because there's no one else on the face of the planet like you. Like out
yeah,
of 8 billion people, there's nobody else like you. No one has your fingerprint.
so
So you're
good.
worthy of it, but it's countercultural to the world telling us what we deserve. And I
Yeah,
mean for good, bad, or ugly. Yeah.
yeah. because
Yeah.
the narrative has been, I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
For many survivors, it's I'm not good enough. I'm too much. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
enough. All of those things,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the opposite of when we can get into the rhythm
Mm.
of caring for ourselves in a way that is healthy and begin the healing process. Things begin to unfold in a different way,
It's so
and
true.
there
Yeah.
is peace and there is joy in that.
Mm.
And you
Mm.
will enjoy your life in those moments when you start to do
And
that.
And we've said in group, like, you're worthy of nourishment, and you can see people, you're worthy of nurture. Like,
Yeah.
you're worthy of our voices being in your story. You're worthy of listening to this podcast. Like, you're worthy of all of these seeds of goodness we've been sharing as we've been talking. Like, you're worthy of that. And even if there's like roots and weeds in the garden of your heart or your mind or your body or your story, it's like, that have been telling you they're robbing the nutrients of, it's like, yeah, but if you actually take a closer look,
Yeah.
there's more badness and there's more, you're not worthy of goodness. You
Yeah.
deserve this. You deserve the weeds. Like these are the consequences, right?
Right.
And when you think about hearing things like what we're sharing today, it's like tilling the soil and
Mhm.
sowing the seeds of hope, and really, again, we don't know who's going to hear it. We don't know who's going to listen. But even if the conversation was just inverted commas for you and I,
Yeah.
like my heart feels like it's going to burst with blooms
Yeah.
from the conversation. Like we just have no idea, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, may those seeds be like Jack and the
Mhm.
Beanstalks. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Just spread in the wind. Lots of flowers. That's
Yeah.
something that we talk about too, is blooming, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Rewilding.
rewilding, one of my favorite
Rewilding.
words.
Yeah.
Um, so speaking of blooming, you have
Mm-hmm.
beautiful daughters that
Mm-hmm.
are your, next generation moving on, following their mom's lead and
Mm.
finding the desires of their heart and seeing who they were created to be. Next time we may have to have some of them on with you. So,
I know. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah. I was saying, again, someone asked me recently because they're now 21, 23, and 25. And, we have a shared history. Everyone's got their own translations.
Mhm.
And when I was saying that, this person looked at me and I said, like in the New Testament, there's a Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Like for us, it's like, Bronwen and Grace and Rebecca and Lauren, and we all have our own translation of a shared history,
Yes.
right? And the
Yes.
way that I worded it was, they are my closest fruit. Like they knew when mom was writing books and traveling and going to America and wherever it was, they knew at home that they were loved and valued and created with a purpose. And that was why they were like, go, who else is going to tell your story? You know? And when I think about them now as the young women that they are doing what it is that they're each individually called to do, preach or Bible college or, serve in youth or be a high school teacher who actually really sees her students
Mm,
and cares.
how blessed are
And
those kids.
and no one's out of the grip of his grace and no one's too hard or too much or too loud or, swears too much or no one, because of the community that they grew up around. And then, the eldest, an interior designer who sees space and wants to create atmospheres that bring nourishment and healing and delight. And it's just, yeah, if it was the only thing I ever did, it would be the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
The
They're
hardest
your
thing and the
Yeah.
greatest delight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because really, as I can speak as a mom who's a founder too, that the kids were there for everything and they
Mhm.
watched everything.
Mm.
And, my kids were part of some of the girls in the early stages that came through and some really sad stories and the way
Mhm.
things ended for some. And my kids had to suffer, like they walked along and saw grief for the first time, or,
Mhm.
and had to contend with their hearts and how they were going to see the world through after that, and see the betrayal even to happen to their mom who was trying to do a good thing. And so it affects the kids. It affects our kids. And for them to still have tender hearts after all of that and to still care the deep way that both of our kids do in this world is just nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah,
really.
True. Yeah. Remembering them packing gift bags like as toddlers, like with little Hope Foundation t-shirts on, and, wrapping gifts for Christmas, that our Lord Mayor gifted us, carloads full of gifts and them going through and that kid's, that woman's daughter who they knew.
Yeah.
She would
by
love
name.
this by name.
Yeah.
By name and wrap them with care and spend days at the Haven wrapping and gifting and, hosting baby showers and holding babies. And what a remarkable
I know.
shared history.
Yeah.
What a remarkable way to grow up. Yeah.
And that is the legacy. If we want to say what our legacy would be, I think that we could probably name a lot of things, but that's already happening. And what a beautiful legacy that is, no matter what else happens. To see that our kids walk through that with us the way they did and became who they are today. It's amazing.
Yeah, legacy of love.
Yeah.
True, genuine love, authentic love, and genuine kindness, Again, they saw me at the checkout at Target and I'd always go through the same checkout if I saw the same worker and knew her name and, how's the kids and how's that and how's the, it's like, and genuinely checking in, then being in the supermarket when my book had first come out, like, Mummy, that lady's crying. We need to go to the car and get a copy of Trophy of Grace for her. Oh
my gosh.
We had little I Am Loved wristbands for a long season, always making sure that there was some in my handbag because you never knew who you were going to see that was going to need to know that they were loved.
I love that.
Legacy of love. Sowers of hope.
Sowers of hope.
Yeah.
What beautiful, beautiful memories those bring back, all that they witnessed. So then as we close, I'm going to ask you one last question. If people remember your work, what do you hope they remember beyond the organization itself?
I hope that they remember being seen. It's kind of like that fully seen and truly loved. It's like that there is no one out of the grip of God's grace. That where there's a heartbeat, there's hope. That it doesn't matter where you're at, now is not forever. No matter where you are on the journey, now is not forever. Tomorrow's coming. And it's coming with delight and wonder. And, if people can, have eyes of wonder and look for moments of delight and be carriers of that, but also be recipients of that they're worthy of that, that every person is loved and valued and created with a purpose. And it's individual. It's like, we can cheer the other person on in the way that they're blooming because that's not how I was called to bloom.
Yes.
Yes. And really mean it. It's like, good, there's enough for everybody.
Yeah.
I think just, the individuals being fully seen and truly loved and, permission to flourish, permission to bloom, and an encouragement to do the work in the weeding of the garden of your heart and your mind and your body, with the hope that, but wait, there's more, Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that. And Bronwen always says, always remember to be kind and gentle to yourself as you're going through this process. And that means pausing and slowing down and holding yourself with kindness and care. And that has been such a great reminder for me and all of my journeys in these past few years where I've needed to be reminded of that. And so I am thankful for your Australian voice coming through into my ears sometimes when you're not even there, but I hear you telling me and reminding me to do that. So
I hope it's a gentle whisper. I'm always like, I want my whisper to be a shout, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's always beautiful in the Australian accent, so it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Bronwen. It's been so fun being with you today, and we're going to do this again. We have wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. Yeah, there's always more. Thank you for having me. Like, what an honor and privilege. And I just want to pause and honor you and acknowledge, like, you did it. You dreamt it up. You imagined it. You let me cheer you on and champion it. And you chose to begin again from a foundational place. And you're doing something different, and you're doing it so beautifully. And it's an honor to sit in this space with you. And have space held, but to hold space with you, you know, and what a glorious conversation. I'm looking forward to hearing it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Bronwen. Love you.
Yeah. Yeah. Love you too.
Thanks for listening to the Cherished Lounge. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. New episodes premiere every Tuesday. Recorded and produced by Robert Altschuler at Command Creative Studios. Music by Danny Keene and Doug Maxwell. We'll see you next time in the Cherished Lounge, where soul, story, and wild grace meet.